Hi Spartans, the goal of this station is to revise your first draft for style and language, that cog skill, specifically around complex sentences. We're going to watch this video and learn how to revise for complex sentences. Before we get into that, let's talk about this cog skill. We've worked on this several times this year. I want to bring your attention to a level 6 on this cog skill. Here's what the descriptor says. Consistently uses a formal style with an academic specialized language when most appropriate, but also vary style and language effectively given the purpose, audience, and conventions of the writing. Sentence structures are varied and effective. Here's what that means. When you think about academic or specialized language, we've already started talking about that in today's Do Now. You selected a tone that you want to communicate during your speech, and you should have already checked if you have words that match that tone. Part of the directions of the Do Now were to highlight 10 words in purple that match that tone. You've already started to do this. Make sure you're using terms that are academic and you maintain a professional style at least. Another part of this is to use sentence structures that are varied and effective. There are many types of sentence structures. You could have a simple sentence with just one idea, a compound sentence with multiple ideas, or a complex sentence with a dependent and independent clause. That's an incomplete and a complete thought. Let's look at some examples. Here's a simple sentence versus a complex sentence. A simple sentence includes one independent clause, which is just a complete thought. If you think back to my example about the Puyallup Fair, here's an example of a simple sentence. The Puyallup Fair should stop being held on the site of Camp Harmony. That just has one idea, has one subject, one verb, so it is just a simple sentence. Complex sentences, on the other hand, include one dependent clause, an incomplete thought, and one independent clause, which is a complete thought. Here's an example of how you could revise that sentence to be a complex sentence. Although many people enjoy the fair at its current location, the Puyallup Fair should stop being held on the site of Camp Harmony. This is a complex sentence because the first part of the sentence is not a complete thought. Although many people enjoy the fair at its current location, the thought isn't finished yet. Therefore, you need the independent clause to finish it. The Puyallup Fair should be stopped being held on the site of Camp Harmony. Why use complex sentences anyway? Strong speeches vary their structure to match their audience. If your audience is the government of the United States, they're going to want to see that you're knowledgeable about your subject, and that might require different types of sentences. A variety of sentence structures can inspire, engage, or inform the audience to take action. In any argument, this is the goal. You want the audience to do something with the information to be on your side. A complex sentence could achieve that. A complex sentence could also be used to acknowledge other positions on an issue or important considerations in relation to your claim. Many of you have already done an excellent job using a complex sentence to introduce your counterclaim, to acknowledge the opposite side. Let's look at an example from a professional speech. This is from A Whisper of AIDS by Mary Fisher. We looked at this the other day in the Do Now. This complex sentence reads, despite science and research, White House meetings, and congressional hearings, despite good intentions and bold initiatives, campaign slogans and hopeful promises, it is, despite it all, the epidemic which is winning tonight. This sentence is a persuasive complex sentence because it acknowledges all of the things that have already been done in science and the government, all of these good intentions, and then recognizes that regardless of that, the HIV virus is still winning. Here are some ways to start complex sentences. You could say although, even though, despite, whereas, regardless of, since, if, then, while. Your job now is to use some of these sentence starters in your own writing. The question asker is now going to grab the top secret envelope and ask at least 2 questions to the group to make sure we understand. After that, independently change at least 5 sentences in your draft to be complex sentences. You're going to highlight these changes in green. Use these sentence starters to your benefit to make your writing even more persuasive by using complex sentences.